Farm for Profit Podcast. Take a listen, have a blast. Farm for Profit Podcast. Learn about farming while having a laugh. Farm for Profit Podcast.
God, you can't even open a beer right.
I did.
That's how it should sound.
I'm just going to sit here and not do anything the rest of this podcast because of the way this is.
Oh, my gosh.
Can I say welcome to a Farm for Fun episode?
Yeah.
Or do you want
Yeah,
to
we're
say
having
that?
some fun.
We're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We're excited. We got a guest here that we've never had a guest like this before. We've never had an individual that is going to enlighten us the way I think we're going to be enlightened.
We've been a quarter of the way there.
We've been a quarter of the way there. We
That's
have.
terrible, too.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear your introduction.
Do we want it's clean. We's clean.
Do we want to? Do we want to do a listener review early, or we want to wake up?
No, let's wait.
Make them wait to get.
Yeah, we'll
on?
need a little. Yeah, let's get right into it.
We're warm in here in the new studio, so let's see if we can find some warm music to knock their socks off. Do you think?
It's a balmy negative, like 2 out today here.
Yeah.
It's like we're in Canada.
You were waiting on me. I'm sorry.
I was.
You sent me a message.
No, it's all right. I got it on my phone. I got it here. Today on the Farm for Fun show, we head back north of the border to hang out with a very motivational man. This man was born with no arms and no legs. That's where I got.
Oh,
We've interviewed
that's what
a
you
quarter of the way
meant.
there. You see that? But it hasn't slowed him down. He's heavily involved in agriculture and farming and also travels the world giving talks and motivational speeches that has got him to some pretty notable accomplishments, where he has given a TEDx talk and been on the Dr. Oz show, but lots more. Please welcome from Alberta, Canada, Mr. Chris Cook. I about said Coke.
Said it wrong. Too.
Whatever. Chris Cook. We're not talking to the Koch brothers today, although they do need to lower our prices on some fertilizer, but that'll be a conversation for another day. Welcome, Chris. How are you?
Oh, I'm very good. How you guys doing today?
We are great. Like I said, it feels like we're living in Canada. It's like -4 here today.
What do they always say? You guys left the door open. Can
Yeah.
you shut the door?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a pretty ugly cold snap here ourselves. I did a presentation in Cold Lake, which is very aptly named, last weekend, and when I got into town there, it was 62 below Fahrenheit with the wind chill.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
That's like -52 Celsius, but it's just cold in any language.
Right. So us Americans are like geographically challenged, and I always like when we talk to someone from Canada. So if you went straight south, where would you be? Like, what's a notable town in the United States, and how far?
Yeah, you can from where I grew up, south of Calgary in Alberta.
Okay.
You go straight south about through 4-hour drive, and you'll hit Kalispell, Montana.
Okay. So Montana. So you're probably not far from I say not far, but like John Kowalczyk said, if Kowalczyk, if you go
John Smith.
straight south, he would be in Montana somewhere. Are you very far from John?
Yeah, fairly close. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so back to John Smith.
John.
Kowalczyk.
Well, yeah, he's not far from John.
Yes.
Kowalczyk.
That's
And apparently, I just have a problem with last names. But
I've been called way worse.
yeah, so let's get
Right.
right into it. You were born with no arms and legs, correct?
Yeah. I you'll have to believe me about the legs, but I can prove that I am missing arms. Yeah, no real known reason as to why. I tell people actually, well, I've made up a lot of stories. I was actually in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and I was having a drink with a couple different ladies there. I can't remember if one or both was a nursing student, and the one said, "So the reason why you're born like that, was it because of a medication that your mom took while she was pregnant with you?" I said, "No." I said, "You're thinking of thalidomide." I said, "I'm younger than that." I said, "Actually, my mom and dad are both adopted, and they found out after they got pregnant with me that they're actually brother and sister." The awkward silence for them must have felt like 3 hours, and I was able to keep a straight face for a little bit, but yeah, it was pretty good. And that's how you don't pick up women. That was a little too dark for those two girls, but yeah, no, it's it is what it is. No real known reason, and it really hasn't stopped me from much of anything, really.
You said have a drink. I don't, obviously we are going to keep the intro in there with the clapping joke, but just regular everyday tasks have got to be something that took you a little while to learn, or did you just kind of learn like everybody does growing up?
Yeah, I mean, I get a lot of. I've done presentations from elementary schools to, like you said, uh, TED Talk, and I've spoken John Deere, and anyways, I'll get a lot of kids will ask me, "What's it feel like to not have arms and legs?" And I'll say, "Well, what does it feel like to have arms and legs?"
Mm-hmm.
Well, normally, yes. I'm like, yeah, you just figured out how to do things the way you do them. Certain things take me a little bit longer, and then there are certain things that I have to do differently, and some stuff takes me a lot more energy. But I'm completely 100% independent. You just necessity is the mother of invention. If you want to figure out how to do something, you'll find a way to make it happen.
Right, right. Is it rude of me to ask? Is everything else normal?
It's funny, and you know what? I've been asked every single question, so nothing phases me anymore. I tell people I am missing arms and legs, and that is it. Everything else works just fine and dandy.
Yeah. In fact, it overcompensated down below. That's right.
Mine's closer to the ground than yours is.
Ah, he's got it.
Oh, that's great.
So you grew up on a farm and a ranch?
Yeah, my grandpa had mixed cow calf and row cropping, or it's called something different everywhere you go. And then moved strictly to cow calf. And so I was helping close family, friends, neighbors on there, also mixed farms. So I worked at feedlot and, whatever tractor, combine, sprayer, skid steer, high hoe, I can run it all, and most of it with little or no modifications or alterations.
Wow.
Like any piece of John Deere equipment, I can climb up the ladder, jump in there, and go just as is.
Really? How do you okay, I'm envisioning a tractor, just a John Deere tractor. Everyone knows there's a clutch. So then, did you have to modify a stick for that, or how does that work?
Most of your hydrostatic, newer hydrostatic transmission, you don't need to touch the foot pedals or the clutch or anything like that.
Right.
Sometimes, this past summer and fall, I was running John Deere combines for some friends, or John Deere case combines, sorry, and to set your contour wheels, there's a little button on the floor you have to press. So I could kind of slide down off the seat, hit that button with my right residual limb or leg that I do have. So there's a partial foot on the right side and a partially developed leg. So I hit that button and still reach up and hit the button on the lever and set my contour wheels, and then climb back up in the seat. Good to go. If I do need to hit the clutch or something like that, a fence post or a 2x4 or something, you just figure out a way to make it work.
Right.
And that's kind of the farming mentality, right?
What's
a lot of
that's never give up attitude.
Right. What's some of the modifications that you have had to make in those instances?
I was working at a friend's winery, and it was a small little New Holland tractor that would fit between the vine rows, and it was just one of those smaller, narrower fence posts that you have on a gate.
Mm-hmm.
Just had one of those, and just hit the clutch and go. It was pretty rudimentary, basic system, but made it work. And really, outside of that, like I said, that newer equipment, you just same as you guys. If you're jumping into a new model of John Deere and they kind of change things a tiny little bit, you just get in there, familiarize yourself. Or if you're jumping into different, a John Deere a case or a Kubota or whatever, it's just, or a Fendt that's like a space shuttle.
Yeah.
You got to familiarize yourself a little bit, and within a couple minutes you're good to go.
I'll tell you what, our last tractor that we we don't order tractors.
Yeah.
that we bought used was 20 years newer than the previous tractor that it was replacing. And I grew up on tractors, 4020 to 8300 to 8420, and then we jumped to an 8345. with an E23 transmission, and my gosh, I had to YouTube the dang transmission, how to set the thing. Like, it's crazy. And I felt dumb. Honestly, I was like, I'm not a real farmer. I can't drive this tractor. I have to YouTube it.
So where the problem does arise for me is, servicing stuff like that. It's pretty tough for me to do that. Or if I break down, I make damn sure that any of my breakdowns are just something that was going to happen and not because operator abuse or anything like that. But and then I'm lucky the guys that I farm with are more than happy to help me out in the areas that I can't do it, and I just make sure a box of beer shows up in the fridge every once in a while as a thank you and appreciation.
Yeah. So let's back up to your childhood. Do you have a memory of like when you first recalled that's like, I don't have these things that these other kids have or other people have?
There's not one moment or thing that sticks out that was like, okay, I am different. It was pretty obvious. But the thing is, I was never really treated or raised any differently. One of the stories my dad tells, they went to a barbecue or something like that, and all the kids were playing street hockey, and I hopped in there and grabbed a stick and started playing. And one of the other moms said, should we, talk to all the kids and get them to kind of tone it down so Chris doesn't get a tennis ball to the mouth or a stick to the head? And mom and dad are like, no. As soon as you point out that elephant in the room, that's all the kids are going to see. If you just let them figure it out, there's say 2 or 3 minutes of, or less sometimes, of okay, something doesn't quite look the same here, and then it's just business as usual.
Right.
So I was never, treated any differently. I was just Chris.
He had a quote on his website that said, within minutes or hours of being born, your parents gave your grandmother a call. Is that what this is?
Yeah.
And stated that it was a healthy baby boy, but was missing both arms and both legs. And supposedly your grandma fired right back saying that, well, your dad never finished anything anyway.
Yeah. No, that was true story. She said, well, Bruce never did finish anything he started. And that really, it set the tone. It wasn't, oh my goodness, this is horrible. What a tragedy. What are we going to do? It was, all right, it is what it is. Everything's going to be fine. We're going to figure this out. We're going to have some good laughs along the way. And, humor, I use the humor a lot in life and in my presentations. And it gets you through challenging days. To be able to laugh at life or laugh at the situation you're in, it helps you get over it. But also for me, it's a great icebreaker. Some of my go-tos, I fly all the time, going to speak at conferences and stuff like that. And a lot of times, I'm at the airport, they'll ask me if I need help getting onto the plane or, would a seat close to the front of the plane be a little easier. And I'll look at them deadpan and say, I really don't care where I sit. As long as there's lots of leg room, I'm happy. And using that panic in their eyes, like, is he serious? Or is he messing with us? Actually, the Canadians will appreciate this. I had a lady come up to me. I was having breakfast at whatever hotel I was staying at. And she says, she goes, I'm a retired nurse. She goes, do you mind if I ask, what happened? And I said, yeah, no, that's a fair question. Get it all the time. I said, this is inflation. I said, this is the direct result of Justin Trudeau's carbon tax. I said, it is literally costing an arm and a leg to live in this country anymore. So, you have fun with it. Life's too short to take it too seriously.
Yeah.
So as you grew up, did you do what other kids do? Did you play sports? Did you get involved in activities like that?
Yeah, no, I played sports. I was right in there with everybody, playing, road hockey or, floor hockey or baseball or soccer or whatever, skiing, snowboarding, golfing. The team sports when everybody got a bit older and bigger and faster. I moved more into coaching or officiating or whatever just to stay involved. Announcing games and stuff like that. So I love sports, absolutely love sports, and I try and stay as active as I possibly can still. kayaking or wake surfing. I'm a glutton for punishment. So in the last, I don't know, 8 or 9 years, I've got into doing marathons. So to explain that, I use a longboard or skateboard to get around when I'm not on lead. Bigger wheels, I can get around some spots. But yeah, I use a longboard or skateboard to get around and started doing marathons on that to keep myself in shape. If I get too roly poly, it's a lot tougher to climb up into the tractor, the combine. So I gotta keep my belly at a reasonable size.
I can't imagine roller skateboarding a marathon.
That seems harder than running it, actually.
I would think.
Depends how much uphill there is.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah, if you're going downhill, you could probably just sit on the thing.
Well, yeah, I actually I was doing one in Washington D.C. and it was a bit of a downhill, and I was passing this group of runners, and one of the guys says, "Hey, how much to hitch a ride on that thing? It's going to cost an arm and a leg."
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's great.
Yep.
Yep.
I just can't fathom that too. I also saw that you do a mud run, or you did. How do you do the off road courses?
Well, the marathons that I have done are road marathons. But even like the board I have, I use shark wheels, which are a bigger, kind of a sort of an all-terrain wheel, and I'm constantly trying to find a better system. But what I have, I can get around on harder packed ground. Obviously, it's good resistance training, but it gets me from A to B, and if it's heavier grass or gravel or whatever, I just hop on my one leg that I do have, carry the board to where it's boardable, terrain. On the farm, use a quad to get around, ATV to get around, and then just get relatively close to the combine or tractor or whatever, and hop the rest of the way. The residual limb I have on the right is say about a foot long. So hopping through corn stubble is not very pleasant if you hit it the wrong way.
I just got the tingles.
I'll let you figure out the math on that one.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It made my body tingle. I don't know if. Yikes.
Huh.
Yeah, I prefer peas and lentils and soybeans. It's nice short stubble. You get canola and corn and stuff like that.
Although soybean stubble can be kind of painful too. I can't imagine like trying to walk barefoot or something,
Right.
In the wrong time. So
Yeah, so on my right foot that I do have, I just have like a little custom moccasin that I wear, so that protects the heel
Okay.
where I'm hopping. So.
Gotcha. How about driving a vehicle? Anything different there?
Yeah, that's probably one of the few things that I have not been able to figure out, and it's not that I haven't been able to figure out. It's trying to convince the government and the powers that be that it's actually a safe system. When I first tried to get my driver's license, I went through the proper channels, and they say you need to have this equipment, and they wanted me at artificial arms attached to the steering wheel and attached to this lever to for gas and brake. And I don't like wearing prosthetics. They're heavy, they're awkward, they're uncomfortable, and I can maneuver everything just as is. Steering the steering wheel and tractor combine, all that kind of stuff. I steer it as is. And they wanted me attached to the steering wheel. I didn't think it was safe. It didn't feel safe to me. So a good friend of mine who's awesome mechanic, he actually just basically extended the gas and the brake up to the edge of the seat, and I was able to run that with my right leg, and steering wheel and signal lights and windshield wipers and all that stuff just with what I have. They don't like that system, so it's a work in progress. I think what I just need to do is just get them to make it look like it was factory installed, and then go take my driver's license and forget going the back way. But
Right.
It's a minor inconvenience.
So when you do need to go somewhere, who's driving?
Planes, trains, and automobiles.
Yeah.
Buses, shuttles. Lucky enough that look, if I'm speaking at rural areas, if there isn't a bus or shuttle or whatever that gets me there, people are usually kind enough to give me a ride into whatever town I got to get to. Again, you just make sure you buy them a drink here and there, and make sure you show your appreciation for it. So yeah, you figure it out. Like I said, you gotta go on somebody else's time, and make sure you show your appreciation. But in the grand scheme of things, it's a minor inconvenience.
Yep.
What's your drink of choice? Your favorite cocktail?
I'm a beer guy. Yeah, well, good whiskeys and good rums and
Sure.
stuff like that. But I'm pretty much a beer guy.
I like that. Let's do our listener review here.
Okay.
Before we keep going.
Yeah.
We got a 5-star review. Of course, those are the only
Some
ones
of the
that we
kind we
like. Whether you're interviewing someone or just talking, I have learned on every show. I am an engineer by trade and love farming. This show has taught me so much, and I love discussing it with my farmer friends. This came off of Apple Podcasts.
That's Manure Hauling Mike
I like that.
is his name. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
Is that all you do,
Absolutely.
manure haul?
We say he's an engineer. Maybe he's got engineering in the manure hauling sector.
Ah, maybe he makes like spreaders or something.
Certainly could. He said, awesome show. And I like that he said, or if we just talk, kind of like what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
He's still learning something.
And I like that he shares it with all his farmer friends.
Yeah. It is
So.
great.
There you go. Cool, cool.
All right, so Chris, as you go along and do these public speaking, or maybe we should fill the gap between the question we asked about your childhood and where you've gotten. So what happened after, do they call it high school in Canada? What do they call Go off to university? What do you call that?
Yeah, we call it high school. We don't have the what is it? Freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. It's just grade 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yeah.
Yeah. We go to school just like you do.
So what'd you do after that?
I originally wanted to be a broadcaster, and then wasn't too sure that's what I wanted to do, and went back, helped out at my grandpa's farm, and I did go out to Ottawa and take history and psychology, and and then was back farming and working for an airline on the side as well, and then was farming full time with close family friends, and then just I was always asked to speak at local schools and events, even as far back as middle and high school. So speaking, doing public presentations and stuff like that was never anything I was unfamiliar with or shied away from. And then it was a neat opportunity to travel, travel to get to where I'm speaking, and travel to have neater stuff to speak about. And it's funny, people are so fascinated with the fact that I can farm. And my brother and myself and a lot of my friends that I've been around my whole life, we don't really think it's that exceptional thing. Yeah, he's always been around the equipment. He's always been able to drive tractors and combines. But a lot of people do find it quite surprising. So the speaking was getting busier and busier, and then I was actually, ironically enough, I'm here right now in Southern California at my buddy's farm, Apricot Lane Farms, and he did a documentary here on the farm called the Biggest Little Farm. And anyways, he did a short documentary about me helping out, and it was on the Oprah Winfrey Network. And then when Oprah says you should check this guy out, people tend to listen. So the video that he did, it was a 5-6 minute video, and it went viral, and all of a sudden my speaking career went from getting busier and busier bit by bit to just took right off, and haven't looked back.
That's great.
Look at this farm. I just typed in Apricot Lane Farms. What a website.
Wow.
Man, I don't know if that's the same one, but man, that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's I don't know, depending on traffic, anywhere between 45 minutes to 7 hours outside Los Angeles. But it's kind of it's like this oasis in just outside of the city, and you go past like thousand oaks, and I don't know how the hell anything will grow here. But it's a beautiful place, and like I said, the little documentary that my buddy filmed here just took my speaking career into a completely different stratosphere. And Yeah.
What
They're
town is
pretty
that near in California?
Moore Park is the closest town or city. You go, I don't know how, say another 15, 20 miles towards the ocean, and you'll be in Ventura.
Gotcha.
Nice. So as you're going around doing these speaking engagements, do you talk about the same thing? Do you have a theme? What's your
Yeah,
presentations like?
yeah. If I can, is the theme or the motto. The gal that arms and legs can snowboard, surf, work on the farm, travel the world, or even just live a happy, independent life. Anybody's capable of doing some pretty incredible stuff. It has nothing to do with arms and legs. It has nothing to do with physical ability. It's that 6 inches of space between the ears. That's the biggest obstacle, and it's our strongest muscle. Um, you know, and that's the difference maker. And obviously, if I'm speaking at John Deere or American Farm Bureau or FFA, I'll talk a lot more about my ag and farming background than I would, a high school in the middle of Chicago or you know uh, a group of realtors or whatever. But the farming always does get brought up because it's a huge part of my life, and I'm sure same as you. Some of my earliest memories as a kid were riding around on the tractors and combines with my grandpa and stuff like that. So it always has been a part of my life, and I the lion's share of my year is spent on the road doing presentations. That's my main meal ticket, but I still do my very best to carve out some time to make sure I'm there helping out when we're planting crops and make sure I'm there as much as possible for harvest. And actually, it's kind of neat. I've been lucky enough to go jump on a combine or whatever and help out on different farms in different parts of Canada, the United States, down in Australia, and that's pretty cool. I've been on a cotton picker down in North Carolina and a peanut harvester in South Carolina, and I got some good buddies down in Georgia. I've
Wow.
helped them out. I was speaking at some FFA events in say about an hour outside of Cleveland, and I had two different school presentations, and I had 2 hours in between. And one of the guys, one of the fathers that was at the first presentation, he says, "Well, we're cleaning up some corn for a neighbor of ours. You guys want to come run the combine for an hour?" I said, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah.
So went and combine for about 45 minutes or an hour, and jumped back off and went to the next high school and did another presentation. So it's pretty cool to see ag and I mean, uh, ag people are just good, down to earth, awesome people. And the lion's share of the presentations at the conferences that I do speak at are ag related. So even when I'm not on the farm, I'm around farmers and ranchers and get to check out their operations too.
That's pretty cool. I saw a quote from, and I can't remember which athlete it was this morning as I was scrolling. I think it was on Facebook. And it said, if I can believe in God and dinosaurs, then I can believe in myself, especially if there's somebody else that believes in me. And I knew this interview was happening. I'm like, if I can, being your general theme of conversation probably provides people with a lot of motivation because it's humbling.
No, that's the hope, and I guess to kind of expand on whoever that athlete, his quote there, that was also pretty huge in my life. When I was, and I kind of touched on this earlier, when I was a kid, when I wanted to go play street hockey with friends, or if I wanted to figure out how to snowboard or surf or ski or whatever, it was never, well, I don't know, it might be dangerous or might be difficult. It was, all right, let's figure out a way to make it happen. It was
Right.
never held back. And, they believed I could do it. And, if the people that are behind you believe you can do it and you can believe you can do it, it's pretty awesome stuff can happen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. As your talks have ramped up and you've gotten busier there, are you managing all that yourself, or have you had to like hire what do they call it, like a publicist or a marketing agency or something to help you out? Because that's a lot
Yeah,
of people to talk to and negotiate with.
I do work with an agency, but I still I probably do a lot more, take care of a lot more of the stuff myself than a lot of speakers will. I like to have a pulse on where I'm going, um, especially like I don't want to just okay, get an email. Okay, 2 days from now you're getting on a plane and you're flying from Calgary down to
Iowa.
Atlanta, Georgia, and then you're going to go down and speak at Atlanta Farm Bureau or Georgia Farm Bureau.
Yeah, we'll just fly
Um,
over.
and then be like, oh crap, I should, I better make sure, if I'm booking my own flights and I know where I'm going, I can remember, okay, if I'm going to be in the general area of, South Georgia or Middle Georgia, I'm going to, get a hold of my friends there and go visit with them for a couple of days and see if I can jump on and help out for a couple of days or
Sure.
whatever. So, um, yeah, I don't leave it completely up to the agency to do all that work.
Nice.
That's good. And I think if we ever got to that point, I would want to have a finger on the pulse also for guests that we talk to and lining things up as well.
For sure. For sure.
What do you think? It's time to play a game?
You said you wanted to play a new game, so let's do it.
You want to try the new game?
I don't know.
So, Chris,
If it has anything to do with rock, paper, scissors, I'm going to be super fit.
I was going to make a joke about, yeah. We do. We like to play a game just to kind of break up the show. Our listeners tend to enjoy them. And I was sitting in an airport, and I was thinking to myself, because I was stranded there with my connecting flight canceled, what I would rather do. And I wondered, would I sit in jail for a year if I could only fly direct from now on, rest of my life?
Oh.
And I really had to think about that. Would I be willing to go to jail for a year to not have to deal with connecting flights?
Yeah, you'd have to travel a lot
Yeah.
to think of it. You do travel quite a bit, though, because you are Mr. Disney.
Mr. Yes.
You just need a direct flight to Orlando.
I just need a condo there. So let's start the first one off. Chris, you travel a lot to speak. Would you go to jail for a year if you could fly direct everywhere?
I have absolutely no problem with connecting flights, airports. I love aviation. I used to work for WestJet, which is a Canadian airline, and I was at the airport, so I quite enjoy it. So I'm probably the easiest guy to deal with. When there's been somebody getting bumped from a flight, or there's you miss your connection or whatever. I don't mind it at all. I actually quite love airports. Some more than and some less than others. But yeah, no, I wouldn't last very long in jail.
That's fair. Right?
Yeah.
But that's the theme of the game is we're going to ask you a bunch of things if you would sit in jail for a year or if you would do the other thing. So it's almost like a would you rather.
I like this one because it's going to pertain to you very well. Would you go to jail for a year if you could have arms and legs after that year?
Oh, it would be neat to know what it's like to have arms and legs. I've had the only dream I've ever had, like actual dream, a recurring dream or whatever, where I have arms and legs. I'm playing hockey, and as a Canadian, I feel like that's the only thing missing out. Is being up on two legs, skating around, playing hockey. And I tell people, and I do firmly believe it, I guarantee you I'm having more fun and more success without arms and legs.
Yeah.
I could have been born with them, completely taking it for granted and just sort of coasted through life doing whatever, but I wasn't. And that's, hopefully that mindset or that perspective or way to reframe it is, something that resonates with people and has them thinking about, not wasting their opportunities and what they have in life.
Yeah. Have you ever looked into or tried like prosthetics, or is that an option?
Yeah, I hated artificial arms. They were heavy and awkward, and I could do everything with what I have. When I do presentations, I always show them how I can use my cell phone.
I was going to ask.
And I can swipe in and hit the individual buttons, and I don't use Siri or voice texting or anything like that. I type it out on my own, and I've actually been asked the question, if you could have one or the other, would it be arms or legs? I would take legs over arms. And I did used to wear prosthetic legs up until about, say, somewhere between 12 and 15 years ago. And then I got going on the board and, weighing out the pros and cons between prosthetics and the board and electric scooter and wheelchair and stuff like that, and different terrains, winter terrain, all that kind of stuff, the board still comes out way ahead.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd still avoid jail and roll with the no arms, no legs.
That's pretty cool.
You know how good of a guest he is? He just crossed off three questions in one answer. Because I was going to ask you how you use a cell phone, and I was also going to ask you if you had to choose between arms or legs. So thanks for knocking those both out.
You're welcome.
What about speaking? What if it was that you had to go to jail or you never got to speak in public again, like at a gathering, whether it's to kids or to ag groups? Your speaking career was over unless you went to jail for a year.
I'd probably have to go to jail.
Yes.
We got him in jail.
I was gonna say earlier, you're gonna have a hell of a time putting me in jail, but I think for that one, there's even times where my voice is, my throat's pretty sore, and I still can't help but talk. I probably should listen more, maybe, but and I love it. I absolutely love it. I've met some incredible people, and the neat part about the job is, I go up on stage for whatever 45 minutes or an hour and tell my story. But afterwards, you go and you visit with the crowd, the people that were there. You go to the banquet afterwards and have a couple beers and BS with everybody, and met some incredible people and hear some incredible stories, and you get visiting and they go, hey, our farm is only about 45 minutes out of town. If you've got some time tomorrow, we'd love to take you out and show you around. And it's a really, really fun job, and I'm sure you guys same thing. Met some really neat people through doing this podcast, and probably checked out some neat operations. And I wouldn't do for anything. So
we're hoping to do more of that.
Yeah.
Because it is the fun part.
It is, unless you're gone every day in February.
Sacrifices.
Hashtag
sacrifices.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
But what's that's we got to probably end on that one because we got him to go to jail.
Yeah, we did. We sent him to jail.
Okay, so we're done with the game.
I want to know if our listeners like that game because I had
jail
fun
for a
playing
year,
it.
or maybe you should almost be like, how long would you go to jail for, or what's the minimum, or something like that. Like, I'd go to jail for a couple weeks for that.
Sure, I'd do it overnight.
Yeah.
Where am I going to jail? That's maybe the other one too. Like, am I going to Folsom Prison and I can say I was in the same jail as Johnny Cash?
Yeah.
Am I going to that one that's just outside of Kansas City, like the maximum security, or where do they send the really, really bad people?
Yeah, it used to be Alcatraz, but that's shut down.
Colorado. Yeah, I can't swim, so Alcatraz is Canadian. You wouldn't even have to put me in behind bars. You just put me on the island. I ain't going anywhere.
Yeah. You can't backfloat or whatever they tell you to do.
No, I must be quite dense because I can bob just below the surface of the water, which is not conducive if you want to breathe. So
this guy's not escaping Alcatraz.
You must spit your beer out.
I always had a tough time trying to figure that out when I was doing swim lessons. They're like, just float on your back. I never realized it's like you just got to keep air in your lungs, like buoyancy, and then
That's
just take
not how it
short
works.
breaths. Yeah, no, I thought
I
that's how it
sink.
works.
My wife tells me all the time, she goes, just lay there and float. I said, no, I sink.
You have to get your lungs full of air and then take short breaths and keep air in, in your lungs. And then it's like a life jacket.
We might have to do a demonstration of this when we go to California.
fill up full of air, and I'll still be.
Just-
There's been a couple times where I've gone overboard, and I know get some air in there, and hopefully I bob just below the surface long enough that somebody sees my rooster tail, grabs me, and pulls me out. So.
Oh man, that would be a terrible situation.
That would. We're here laughing at him.
How long are you in California for?
I'm heading up to Anchorage, Alaska tomorrow morning.
Wow.
To speak at some schools up there, and then back over to good old Alberta for conference, and then down to Colorado for some schools down around Sterling, and then back up for another farming conference. And it's go.
Wow.
I was going to say Anchorage, Alaska in January, and then I realized that he's from Canada, so
Right. Yeah.
it's just cold.
But this trip here to California was kind of a last minute thing. It was a big snowstorm. I was trying to get back to home, and I thought there was just weather everywhere. I thought I'll just get south and get to where I can grab a direct flight
Yeah.
to Anchorage, and I thought, well, I'll come visit my buddy down here and then head up to. So before I came to California, it was going to be I was going to go to Alaska to get warmer weather.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah,
Wow.
by a long shot.
Huh. So when you're not traveling and talking and farming, what's some other things you like to do? Any hobbies, stuff like that?
I love sports. Staying active, keep myself in shape. Hanging out with my two nephews and nieces. My brother's got 4 kids. He's got a fifth one on the way. Um, there's there's no dry cows around my brother, that's for sure. But yeah, he's got fifth one on the way, and they're an absolute riot. So spending time with them, and I like traveling for fun too.
Yeah.
Go see some places if I can, tick off a couple extra countries off the list, and I'll do that too. But yeah, and even just traveling around doing presentations. I've done some stuff with some sports teams. I did a little bit of stuff with the New York Mets.
Oh.
The farm teams. I don't want to be responsible for the largest payroll in baseball that didn't make the playoffs. But yeah, so if I'll be down in Colorado. I don't know if the Alaska Aces will be playing hockey while I'm up in Anchorage. I got to double check that. Unfortunately, the Colorado Avalanche aren't playing when I'm going to be down in Colorado. But yeah, just it's neat to check out different sports wherever I'm traveling to.
Nice. You should have one sibling then?
Yeah, just got the one fully assembled brother. But,
Yeah.
Fully
Does
assembled.
he farm or is he off farm?
yeah, he does cow calf. He does cow calf. So if he never had to jump in a tractor ever in his life, he'd be a happy man.
Really?
I like working around cattle too. So if I'm helping out, say move cows or whatever, I'll do it on a quad or 4x4 or whatever you guys call it. I would like to rig up a custom saddle. My brother's built saddles. Would love to rig up a custom saddle and move cows on horseback. It's a heck of a lot quieter and a lot more peaceful. But I probably the better chance that I'll grow arms and legs before my brother ever finishes his custom saddle.
Oh, he started it though?
Yeah, it was pretty rudimentary, basic setup. It was actually for his wedding. All his groomsmen were on horseback, and all his wife and bridesmaids all came in on horse and wagon, and so basically just they kind of ponied me along with the rest of the guys on horseback, and he had a piece of like a leather string that he tied my back belt loop onto the back of the saddle just to keep me in. And I thought, my luck, I'll get bucked off out the back door, and I'll have the strongest belt loop ever known to man. Belt loop won't break, and that horse would just be kicking away until I finally come loose.
Yeah.
He'd go for his 8-second ride.
Yeah. Oh man.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, so we talked about your family. Okay, you got one brother. Is there a woman in your life at all?
I don't have one of those
Women?
right now.
What of those?
One of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm on the hunt for I don't want to say I'm on the hunt.
I like that.
But I'm yeah.
So how does that work? You talked about
Well,
having
when a boy likes
no,
a
when
girl-
you talk about buying drinks or whatever in Sioux City. How is that perceived? You go to the bar or go speak somewhere. How are you perceived?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not stupid. The women want the tall, dark, and handsome. They're not typically looking for a guy without arms and legs. It's just straight chemistry, and
Yeah.
just it is what it is. So you do have to make sure you woo them with your your rapist wit and your wonderful personality.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I always tell people I have no problems getting a girl. That's not a problem. It's keeping them.
Yeah.
And in my job, it's not conducive to your typical relationship. I'm on the road a lot, probably well over half the year. So yeah, that does pose a problem, but I also love what I do.
Yeah.
And so it would have to be a sacrifice there somewhere. So
There's
the right one comes along, and I've had a couple long-term relationships.
Yeah, there's a lot of women that like to travel too. So I mean, that could be conducive. But maybe you don't want that. I found it. I used to love to hunt. Like I love to hunt, like way too much, unhealthily amount. And I found a girl that loved to hunt too, and she was with me all the time. I was like, this isn't as great as I thought it would be. I need my own space.
I thought you were talking about a different kind of hunt.
Nah, ducks, geese, deer, whatever. Uh-huh. And when they were like sitting right there, like first couple times, like, oh, that's cool. Mm-hmm. And then quickly learned that it's like, oh wait, I do this to get away from everything else in my life.
Yeah.
So, and you're one of the other things that I'm trying to get away from at this point. Yeah. So she didn't last long.
That's why Corey doesn't hang out with me.
Yeah. Get out of here.
It's like,
yeah,
I do podcasts.
I'm just looking for, independently wealthy, loves to travel, loves good sense of humor, and that's at least an 8 or 9 out of 10.
At least you're not asking for much.
I mean, you might not get the wealthy part, but all the rest of that sounds great.
You just got to tell them what we said earlier. What you lost in the 4 extremities is compensated for.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all it takes.
That should get them all in.
Yeah.
My luck isn't that bad.
He said he can get him, he can't keep him, so must
that's
not be true.
Yeah.
I always tell I date all these women with arms and legs. They run away, and I can't catch up to them.
I like that.
That's good.
So out of all the speaking and interviews that you've done, who's the most famous person you've got to meet?
Oh,
did you actually get to meet Oprah, or you were just on the network?
No, I was on her network. I guess I've got to know Jane Goodall quite well. We maybe don't look at agriculture in the same agree on that, but she's still a pretty exceptional lady. And a lot of sports personalities, hockey and baseball and whatnot.
Did you meet Dr. Oz?
Yeah, I was on his show. Yeah, I met him. I guess I met very briefly Britney Spears, my buddy Justin Baldoni. So I pitched this idea for a travel show, and Justin Baldoni, who was on the show Jane the Virgin, I got to be good buddies with him and went to a few tapings of that show. So Britney Spears was on the one time that I was there. So very briefly met her. I guess I've met our prime minister here in Canada.
He's not famous.
People know who he is. Yeah. So probably I've not met Quick Dick McDick yet, but I guess if I was to brag about meeting Justin Trudeau, he probably wouldn't want to be good buddies with me. I would actually love to sit down and have beers and visit with him. He's an absolute riot.
Quick Dick, yeah. We interviewed him virtually like this, and then we were down in Louisville at the National Farm Machinery Show last year, and he just comes walking up, and we're recording, and he just throws on a set of headphones and just gets in the recording and just like nothing, he's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, actually, another neat lady that's just down to earth is Governor Kristi Noem.
Oh yeah.
It was the Governor's Ag Summit in Sioux Falls, and got to visit with her, and yeah, she's just a neat lady, and I love her passion and support for agriculture. That's really what.
Fun fact: my Maya 12-row corn head that I used last fall actually went to her brother's farm.
I didn't know that.
Yep. They picked it up and went right there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty
Black
cool.
SUV escort and everything.
No. No, it wasn't. Maybe when it got there, but I told him that I wanted. I don't care what it takes. I'll replace the snout, but tell her I want a signature on one of the snouts.
Yeah.
That black snout, and then like a silver, and then I'll replace it, and then we'd put it up on the wall.
That'd be great.
Yeah. So that
should
didn't
do
happen.
that.
Of course, Rick, he would never do something like that.
Not
me.
for us.
No.
Yeah. Wants everything done for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should still go buy Maya Cornhead.
Yeah.
But should I ask him the wrap-up question?
Yeah, I think so.
So we try to ask a consistent question throughout our shows to kind of compile some answers. And the one that we're sitting on right now is, how best do you go about learning something new? What have you figured out in your life helps you most effectively learn something new?
Just dive head first into it. Don't overthink it. Trial and error, learn to do by doing, that kind of stuff. You show hesitation, and you can have 15 reasons why you should do something and one reason why you shouldn't, and hang your hat on that one reason why you shouldn't and talk yourself out of it. I'm very much a jump in the net will appear. Obviously there's some certain things that you can't dive too head first into because it might be dangerous, but yeah, you just get in there and do. Don't second guess yourself. If you're confident in your abilities, you'll figure it out.
That's good advice because we don't do that.
Yeah.
At least I don't do that.
Yeah, you don't. I do. I'm probably more with Chris on that one than you are.
That's fair. Well, this is good. So if somebody wants to reserve you for a presentation or get you to come have a talk, get in contact with you, what's the best way for them to look you up?
Yeah, my website is ifican.ca. It's a Canadian website. But also I'm on all the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, X, I guess it's called now.
Yep.
It's all a variation of Chris Koch, KOCH, and If I Can.
TikTok? Do you got TikTok?
I have a TikTok. I haven't done a whole lot. I just bought a 360 camera, and I want to try and do some those ones you can do. You can do videos a lot. Well, for me, I can do videos a lot easier on my own. So I gotta play around with that and get some good farming and travel videos on there, and hopefully get some more traction that way too.
Yeah, Zach Haase? Haase? How do you say his last name?
Haas?
He told us
That's
we
right,
needed a
he did.
360 camera.
Yeah,
I don't understand how they work because it just looks like there's nothing attached to them, and they're just like,
yeah.
I don't know, but we need one.
We can do it. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Well, this has been our pleasure. We appreciate you hanging out with us.
Yeah, no, I thank you guys very, very much for having me. I've heard a lot of people talk about you guys. So when you guys came calling, it was pretty cool that you thought I was worthy enough to join the show.
We were the opposite. I mean, we were excited because we heard about you, and I was surprised that you responded to a DM.
Yeah, it's hard to get people to respond once in a while. So hopefully, people were saying good stuff about us.
Yeah, no, I haven't heard anything bad. So,
good.
thank you very, very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, I can't wait until our paths cross in person, and we can have a beer. Because that's the ultimate way. I mean, it's always better in person, but I love technology because how cool is this? You're in California, we're in Iowa, talking right now, meeting. So we'll have a beer when our paths actually cross, and I'm sure it'll be soon because you travel a lot, and we're starting to travel a lot more.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, no, it's only a matter of time, and yeah, absolutely love to sit down and have a beer with you guys and talk more about farming.
Great. That's cool. Awesome, Chris. What do you say, Corey?
Crack a Busch Light. You deserve it.